It was a dark and stormy night when I decided to explore the abandoned building on the outskirts of town. I had heard rumors about the place for years and had always been fascinated by it. Despite being warned by locals about the building's eerie atmosphere and rumors of it being haunted, I couldn't resist the pull of adventure. As I approached the building, I could see that it was in a state of disrepair. The windows were boarded up, and the door was hanging off its hinges. I hesitated for a moment, wondering if this was a good idea, but my curiosity got the best of me. I entered the building and was immediately struck by the musty smell of decay. The floorboards creaked beneath my feet, and I could hear the sound of water dripping in the distance. I had a flashlight with me, but the beams barely penetrated the darkness. As I made my way deeper into the building, I began to feel a sense of unease. The silence was oppressive, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched. I tried to tell myself that it was just my imagination, but the feeling persisted. As I reached the top floor, I heard a sound behind me. I froze, and my heart began to race. I couldn't see anything in the darkness, but I could feel something breathing on my neck. I was paralyzed with fear and didn't know what to do. I quickly turned around and saw a dark figure standing in the corner of the room. I couldn't see its face, but I knew it was there. I ran as fast as I could, but I could feel something following me. I didn't stop until I was outside, and I could feel the rain on my face. I was relieved to be out of the building, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being followed. I looked around, but there was no one there. I was alone in the parking lot, but I felt like I was being watched. I got in my car and drove away as fast as I could. I didn't stop until I was back home. But even then, I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. The experience had left me shaken, and I knew I would never be able to forget it. I told my friends and family about what had happened, but they didn't believe me. They thought I was imagining things, but I knew what I had seen and felt. Days passed and I started to feel like it was all just a nightmare, until I received a package in the mail. Inside, I found a note that read, "I'm still watching you," and a doll with a note attached to it. It had my name on it. I knew then that it was real, and the figure in the abandoned building was still following me. I was terrified and didn't know what to do. I immediately called the police and reported the package. They took it as evidence and started to investigate. The police put a protective detail on me and also installed security cameras in my house and made sure I was always escorted by an officer. As the investigation continued, I found out that the building had a dark past. It had been used as an asylum for the mentally ill in the past, and it was rumored that the patients were mistreated and abused. The police also found out that one of the patients, a man named Robert, had never been accounted for after the asylum was closed down, and he was suspected to be the one who sent me the package. As the days passed, I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. I was constantly looking over my shoulder and couldn't sleep at night. I was always on edge, waiting for Robert to make his next move. The police searched for Robert but couldn't find any trace of him. They believed that he might have died in the asylum and his spirit was still trapped there. The police suggested that I should not return to the building. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know the truth, so I went back to the asylum. I searched every corner of the building but found nothing. As I was about to leave, I heard a noise coming from the basement. I followed the noise and found a door that was slightly ajar. I pushed it open and what I saw shocked me. Robert was sitting in a corner. He was old, and he had been living in the basement of the asylum all this time. He had been sending me the package and following me all this time. He was insane and had never left the asylum. He had been waiting for someone to come and rescue him. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I felt a mix of fear and pity. The police arrived soon after and took Robert into custody. I was relieved that it was finally over, but the trauma of the experience stayed with me. The experience had a profound impact on me. It made me realize the importance of respecting the dead and the power of the unknown. It was a reminder that just because a place is abandoned, it doesn't mean that it is empty. It was a scary experience, but it also taught me valuable lessons and made me more cautious and aware of my surroundings. was on a trip to a small town when I heard about an abandoned museum located on the edge of town. It was said to be haunted and cursed by the locals, but I couldn't resist the pull of the unknown. I convinced my friends to come with me to explore the place. As we approached the museum, it was clear that the building had been abandoned for a long time. The windows were boarded up, and the front door was locked. We managed to find a way in through a broken window at the back of the building. As we entered the museum, we were greeted by the musty smell of decay and the sound of our footsteps echoing in the empty halls. We split up to explore the different rooms, and as I walked through the exhibits, I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. As I reached the last room, I saw a figure standing in the corner. I couldn't see its face, but I knew it was there. I froze, and my heart began to race. I couldn't see anything in the darkness, but I could feel something breathing on my neck. I was paralyzed with fear and didn't know what to do. I quickly ran out of the room, and as I reached the hallway, I saw my friends running towards me. They had also seen something. We quickly left the museum, and as we got out, we saw a figure standing at the window. It was the same figure I had seen in the last room. We ran as fast as we could and didn't look back until we reached our car. As we drove away, we couldn't shake off the feeling of being followed. We saw the figure standing in the middle of the road, but as we got closer, it disappeared. We were all shaken by the experience and couldn't believe what we had seen. The experience had a profound impact on us. It made us realize the importance of respecting the dead and the power of the unknown. It was a reminder that just because a place is abandoned, it doesn't mean that it is empty. It was a scary experience, and we knew we would never be able to forget it. A few weeks later, a new story broke that a group of teenagers had gone missing after exploring the abandoned museum. The police searched the building and found their bodies in the same room where I had seen the figure. They had died from unknown causes and the case was never solved. The experience haunted me for a long time. I couldn't shake off the feeling of guilt for not warning others about the dangers of the museum. I knew that if I had spoken up, those teenagers would still be alive. The abandoned museum was finally demolished, and the land was turned into a park. But for me, the memory of that dark and stormy night will always be with me. It was a reminder of the power of fear and the unknown and the importance of listening to the warnings of others.